Today I'm looking at deciding on what your money management system is going to be for 2025. What I'm trying to put across is that you're going to decide right now where you're going to do it. But as you're deciding, keep in mind that this will not be final. It did feel real. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I could not connect what I'm tracking on my phone to the money I actually have in my wallet. I felt detached from it, like I was just tracking just for the sake of tracking. It will feel like a lot of work. You feel like, but God, why should I put in that effort? I have so much on my plate. I have work, I have home, I have, you know. Hi, welcome to the Personal Finance and Coffee podcast. And on this channel, we talk about money and how to manage the money that you're making better so that you feel like you're making progress towards your goal. To break this cycle of I've made the money, but it's 5 years later, it's 10 years later, and I don't know where the money went. So this channel talks about different ways and different ideas of how to manage your money better. That's what we talk about here. And today's episode is a continuation of the series of getting your money management system in order for 2025. And I'll have the previous episodes linked in the description. If you have missed those previous episodes, you can go catch up and then watch this video. Now, today we are going to look at money management systems. And before we get into it, I'd like to tell you about my budget template, my Google Sheet template for 2025. And this is a template that I've been adjusting and tweaking, and it takes you through making your budget, tracking your finances, looking at the whole year overview, and your net worth as well. So if you've been looking for something like this, I'll have a link in the description below. If you're interested, you can look at this digital product that I've made. Now, let's get into the episode. I'm looking at deciding on what your money management system is going to be for 2025. Now, this is very important. In our previous step, we became clear on the reason why we are choosing to manage our money in a different way. Why we are going to take the uncomfortable actions that are different from what you've been doing in order to manage your money differently. The money management system, here we are looking at where are you going to make your budget? Where are you going to track your money? Because there are so many options. We have an apps on the phone. You can do it in a budget planner, you can do it on a notebook, you can do it in Google Sheets, you can do it in Excel. The options are very many and they can be overwhelming. Now, it's important to decide. When you decide that, okay, I'm going to get this budgeting app and this is the one that I'm going to use, start with that. Don't feel a lot of pressure. The one you start with is not the one you'll probably use till the end. When you start using an app, you'll feel like, but something doesn't work. Maybe when you're using it, you feel like every time I pick up my phone, I go to other apps and I don't remember to check my budgeting app so that I can track the money that I've earned or I've spent. So maybe this is not working for you. Then maybe you can say, okay, let me try an Excel sheet. You try that. You say, okay, this one it doesn't work for me. Maybe I don't go to I'm not always on my laptop. Then you say, okay, let me try using a notebook. Now, what I'm trying to put across is that you're going to decide right now where you're going to do it. But as you're deciding, keep in mind that this will not be final. It will keep changing. And as you use the platform that you have chosen, keep in mind that, be aware of what is not working. And then you decide on how you're going to adjust it. It will take some time. Because when I started in 2019, the first thing I did was I got a notebook. I said, this is the year. I got my notebook. I started tracking. Every time I would spend money, I'd write. Every time I'd make money, I'd write. And then the 1 month passed and I was looking at all my records. I was like, so what does this mean? What do I do with all this information? Now, I later realized that when I write in a notebook, when I write in a plan, I did not have a way to analyze the information for it to make sense and for me to then make decisions based on what I've learned. That was my first step. So when that happened, I stopped. I stopped doing it for 3 months. I stopped tracking. I was like, what's the point? Then I got frustrated again. And I said, okay, let me try again. So I got a budgeting app. Now, when I got that budgeting app, I said, okay, now I'm starting for real. You know that feeling? You stop and then you start okay, for real this time. So I tried that app. I used it for some time and it kept working for me. But then I would not, so I'd make the categories and then I would do, like, you know how the apps make categories for you, travel, home, what. But something wasn't clicking. I would never, like, it would not match my, it didn't feel real. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I could not connect what I'm tracking on my phone to the money I actually have in my wallet. I felt detached from it, like I was just tracking for the sake of I'm tracking. So that did not work for me. And I kept changing things up to the point where I'm at now. Now the way I manage my money, it makes sense for me. When I when I explain this system, it feels overwhelming for other people. But it's what kind of works for me. So what I'm trying to put across is that as you get into this process of changing how you manage your money, choose the method you're going to start with in 2025. As you start to choose, be aware that it is not final and be on the lookout for what is not working so that you keep adjusting. It will feel like a lot of work. You feel like, but Gabby, why should I put in the effort? I have so much on my plate. I have work, I have home, I have, you may be in a stage of life where you're taking care of your parents. You may be in a stage of life where business is tight. And you're like, Gabby, on top of everything happening in my life, you want me to now add the process of finding a budgeting system that works for me? Trust me, I understand you. And all I have to say is that after you put in the work and you go through and you find what works for you, it is so much simpler. It took me some years to get there, about from 2019 to 2023. A bit of try and error and start and stop. And right now, where I'm at right now, the system works for me. It is also not final, but it is easier to manage, and I make smaller adjustments every now and then. Now, as I come to the end of I'm going to explain to you my system. But if you find this valuable, please like. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe. And let me explain what I do right now. The first thing that I do is I track on paper. I have a tracker, like a printout. So I track on paper. I write down money in, money out. This is the reason why I start from there. I like notebooks. So this is tailored to my preferences. So I always have a notebook. If you know me, if you've seen me, I always have a notebook. So it is easier for me to write it down first before I will enter it into the app. I have an app on my phone, but trust me, I will write it down before I open my phone to track it. So that is my first step in my money management system. I write it on paper. My second step then is I enter it into the budgeting app. Now, the reason the budgeting app works for me is because I like how the app, I'm going to have a link of the app, like an icon of what the app is here on the screen. Why this app works for me is because it shows you, you're able to put in three accounts. So I can have an account for cash, I have an account for the bank, and then I have an account for my budget binders. Now, when I expend money or when I earn money, I put where the money was spent from or where I received it. So at any one time, the amount on that app of cash, budget binders, and bank account is supposed to match what I have in real life. I'm supposed to open my wallet and this is what I have, ideally. Now, for me, the app makes so much sense because it makes the budget feel real. I don't feel detached from it. So that is what the app does for me. Now, once I'm done with that, then I enter it into my Google Sheet document, which I'm putting up for sale right now, and I'll have a link in the description. This budgeting app is where I then put in the data. And what this one does for me is that it shows me category by category what I have spent. Now, I know the app can do that as well, but something clicks in my mind when I use a Google Sheet document to kind of analyze. So this is each category, how much I spent, and then I also analyze how is my spending affecting my net worth. Is my net worth overall increasing? How much is my net? Like, I look at the whole picture on this template so I can see, in the different savings accounts, the different long-term, my NSSF, my life policy. I see the whole picture on that template, which I feel like I would not get very well when I'm on my phone. So that is where I look at big picture thinking, seeing the progress. So that is my system. I have 3 systems. I'm not saying that do this, but this is where the journey has led me to. So as we enter 2025, action step is try something. Try an app, try something and adjust to see what works for you. Let me be clear, this takes some time. When it becomes a habit, it's so much easier. It comes second nature to you. But I do encourage you to try something and get started. If you found this valuable, please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode where we are going to talk about choosing your categories for 2025. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.